to you. So, another day above ground, and a whole lot has changed quickly. A whole lot has changed quickly. Uh, Kim Jong Un got together with Vladimir, and they got a mutual protection pact going on. So what that means for the world, it's like when a little dog, it's like when a little dog has its owner standing behind it, it's going to bark, even crazier. So Kim knows now that if they make a claim that that anything has happened to them, that the mother bear country is going to rush to their aid. So they're a lot bolder now, and they've had their uh, soldiers having shootouts on the border of North and South. And you ask why that matters to America. It matters because everybody has got their finger on the red button, and these big boys want to use the big toys. So, uh, also, pretty much overnight, uh, Mother Bear Country dropped the mother of all BOMBS on the yellow and blue country and wiped out almost 2,200 people at one time. That would be like 9/11, was to us. That many people all at one time. So, or it would be like a Pearl Harbor day to us, you know. And it's terrible because we let these people think that that we're helping them all in the name of democracy and that beginning of the old 1940s Superman. What's up? I'm having a good day. I'm the better part of a century old. I woke up with my faculties. I got people who love and care for me. I live in a country where you can still pray, you know, without somebody busting the door down. So I had a wonderful cup of McDonald's coffee with an apple pie that Man Raj, mi mano derecha, got for me this morning from McDonald's across the street. That was very enjoyable. I like to have it European where no sweetener in the coffee, just take a bite of the pie and a swig of the coffee, you know, and it's so refreshing. The coffee, no sugar or anything in it, in your mouth with the pie going on. Oh boy. Oh gosh. You know. So I've had about an hour of prayer time, and I love prayer time because when you're older and you get in the Holy Spirit, and you know, like Benny Hinn has those gatherings, and a lot of it is smoke and mirrors and bread and circuses, but a lot of it also is the people that attend those meetings are genuine about their faith and they're genuine about wanting to be healed. And I can tell you, when you ask God to forgive you of your sins and fill you with the Holy Spirit, and then you have an hour of prayer, that's an hour of joy that you're not going to have any muscle aches or pains, and it all goes away for a while. You know, when I sit in my wheelchair, for some reason, I feel the Holy Ghost stronger when I sit in my wheelchair than when I'm lying in bed. I ask God if He even heard my prayers when I'm lying in bed, you know, whether that's scriptural or not. And that particular day, I didn't fleece God, but I was lying in bed and I said, God, I'd really like to have some salad today. And Man Raj bought me 2 bags of salad mix. And then somebody else, the Meals on Wheels people, brought me a small bowl of salad with this very nice Italian dressing, very pleasant. And I was like, God, that was such a special thing. You know, I didn't ask Him for a Cadillac or anything like that. I wanted a nice fresh salad. And it was it was refreshing, and it wasn't, you know, my age, old people don't like to eat a whole bunch at one sitting. You'll see us have a cup of coffee and like half a cheeseburger, splitting it between 2 old people, and my appetite has gone way down. My sleep cycle has gone up, which is normal for somebody who's in the winter of life. So blood pressure was good this morning. I mean, it was fantastic for me. So it was like 139/80, which you know, for a person my age and everything is good. With a pulse of 64, so the heart's not overworking. Usually when you get older, your pulse is faster and weaker. And I use a EKG unit, and I use it as a biofeedback, where I watch the beep, and if I think beep and slower, I can slow it down. And the doctor confirmed that. She said that's absolutely right, that you can slow it down. The mind is extremely powerful. I'm very cautious about what I let go into my eye gate and what I listen to and all. And my neighbors listen to that. My neighbors listen to the crap music, and they smoke blunt. Well, they actually smoke skunk, which is horrible. It literally smells like skunk. And it's a powerful type of weed. And I'm right across from the border of D.C., which is legal for weed. So even though I'm in Maryland, nobody does anything about it. You know, the cops don't even come into my neighborhood. They don't. They come in after the fact. You know, if you call them, they come like a half hour later, you know. And it depends on the type of call. I used to be a regular supporter. But one night, this man came into the lobby of the hotel, and he was short of breath. And he was a homeless guy. he didn't stink or anything like that. He had kept his hygiene up. He was just homeless. And so he said he was short of breath. And I put a pulse oximeter on his finger, and his oxygen saturation wasn't good, and he was technically in tachycardia. His pulse was like 120. So I got out a tank of oxygen, which is always good, because you can't do anybody any real harm. Hey, Mike, giving him oxygen. And so the police came first, and the officer took the oxygen away from the guy. And I said, well, officer, I gave the guy the oxygen. You know, I used to work in the nursing home, and I said, I'm obligated, knowing what I know, to help the man, by the way. And so the officer was like, well, the ambulance will be here in 4 or 5 minutes. They'll take over. I said, officer, if you couldn't breathe for 4 or 5 minutes, would you want somebody to take away your oxygen and you couldn't breathe for 4 or 5 minutes? Can you hold your breath for 4 or 5 minutes? And he was like, don't get smart with me. You know, the boy was kind of tucked in there. Don't get smart with me. He didn't say boy, but he was looking at me like, don't get smart, boy. And so I told the homeless guy, found out his name was John. I said, John, you have a room at the shelter. I said, but when you leave out on the street, you rolling the dice. I said, obviously, this officer doesn't like you. You know, obviously, that's clear. And you're putting yourself at risk, you know. And he kept coming to the hotel. I said, I can't put my job at risk. You keep coming by, you know. I said, I'm almost at the point I don't know what to do, because you come by and you're in bad shape, and then I'm obligated to call an ambulance, and then the cops come, and the cops say they know you, and they're rough on him, rough on me. I said, we got to work this out. But I told the officer, I said, you're going to make the man wait 4 or 5 minutes for an ambulance, and he can't breathe. And his oxygen saturation is real low, so I know the guy was in bad shape. So after 2 or 3 times like that, he never came back. I don't know what happened to the guy, but that really soured me. I have respect for the police and all, but that one officer, that really soured me. You know, the way that he came at me, yanking the can of oxygen away, and, you know. And like I said, I had worked in a nursing home, and when you have that training, you are obligated to help people if you know what to do. You're obligated, especially in this day and age when medical assistance is few and far between. You know, last time I was in the hospital, nobody spoke a word of English. It was all Spanish or Nigerian, you know, one of the African languages. And the head nurse was fighting with the charge nurse, and it was terrible. I didn't even fill out the request for a review. I told the guy, I said, if I give you all a review, it'll be so bad that I would be afraid of being barred from service in the future if I needed it. So I said, we'll just leave that alone. But I said it was bad. The nurse was the meanest meanest person I'd ever come across. And they wheeled me into a room with cardboard over the window. I had to call 911, and they asked 911 to help me get out of the hospital. I said, I got to get out of here before these people wipe me out, because they didn't give me water to take my medicine. There was no clock for me to time my medicine, all that other stuff. So I said, I'm better off on my own. I got to get out of here. It's a matter of survival. So the 911 operator called the hospital, and they let me go about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was terrible. It was terrible. They didn't cover me up when I came home on the gurney. I was outside my door for 3 or 4 minutes, stone naked, at 2 o'clock in the morning, as they tried to help me get back in the wheelchair. And there was nothing to cover me. And the look on their faces was like dead as a shark. You know how a shark has those cold eyes? That's the way the ambulance crew was. $1,000 to $1,000 fee for the ambulance, and they were just as cold. They didn't use a gate strap. A gate strap is when you put a strap underneath the shoulders and the arms of the person so that two people can hold them up and try and get him in the wheelchair without hurting him or hurting yourself. It's called a gate strap. They didn't have that. I thought they were going to dump me on the ground nude and drive off, is what I thought. Horrible experience. Horrible. So fam, we are in the day and age where you got to learn to take care of yourself. You need a good medical kit. You need to train yourself and your kids as far as medicine, how to use a fire extinguisher, get with some neighbors that you can trust, because this stuff is getting ready to hit the fan. All of these kooks in the world that think when the NEWKS go off, and for you trolls, I'm misspelling it on purpose so my video doesn't get flagged. You tedious trolls, oh boy, Pop made a mistake in his spelling, or Pop made a mistake. Let me get on my keyboard and correct him. Oh boy, But, and then you'll be the first ones that get caught short when the crap hits the fan, because you're in mommy and daddy's basement. Some of you 30 and 40 years old, and you're in mommy and daddy's basement playing PlayStation. Don't have a job. You're burdened to your family. They have to beg you to come up to eat dinner. You don't say thank you to God for the dinner. You don't say thank you to your parents. You don't say thank you to God for the people that grew the food. I was on my own since I was 14. I worked a full-time job at 14. My father put me out when I was 15 because I was getting bulked up working on garbage trucks, and working in gas stations back then was entirely different. Mounting tires and breaking down tires and all that stuff by hand. Nothing like it is today. I was getting big and bulky, and my father was afraid that the next time he pushed me down the basement stairs or tried to rub a cigarette out on my belly, that I would kick his ass. And it almost came to that. It almost came to that. But, what's up, Zach? So, yeah. I got put out, and the door didn't swing both ways. I never ever was able to go back. I I bought my mother a car when my father took her car away. My mother just wilted like a molting bird with no car, and she really was deteriorating. So I got a 71 Pontiac Grand Prix, one of the most beautiful cars I'd seen in my life, black with a black vinyl roof and a white interior. Brought it by. She said, nope, don't like it. So I got a Pontiac Parisienne and brought that by. She's like, nope, don't like the sound of the motor. It had an aluminum V6. She said the motor sounds tinny, don't like it. So I was like, well, to heck with this then, no thank you, kiss my butt, go to hell or anything. We weren't close. My parents, and I was respectful of my parents. I never called him the old man or anything. It was always sir. We weren't close. I was with him when he passed, telling him I loved him and patting his hand and saying it would be okay. That was very difficult considering what he had done to me. We went to a picnic one time and this guy raised snakes, one of my neighbors, and my father picked up this great big yellow python and threw it around my neck. And he howled. He thought that was hysterical. I said, Buck, this snake doesn't know me from Adam. I said, what if it panics and bites me or strangles me or something? And I was smart. I just stood there and waited for my neighbor to calm the snake down and waited for my neighbor to take the snake off of my neck so I didn't get bitten trying to grab the thing, because the snake was surprised. My father just picked it up and threw it around my neck, and it was a big snake. It was like 7 feet long, So I'm not grumpy about anything, Rodolfo. Rodolfo, you're not going to start that crap with me again, are you? Because if you are, I'm going to put you in timeout. I'm not grumpy. The book has got a cover that's well worn, but the story inside the book is a good story. So I already figured you for that, because you're starved for attention. You're probably narcissistic and codependent. So everybody say hi to Rodolfo. Zach, say hi to Rodolfo, because Rodolfo, I already said what kind of snake. If you don't know, wind the video back. So that's another thing about people like you. You're so full of yourself, you don't listen to anybody. I already said the kind of snake. So I had my neighbor take the snake off. My father thought that was funny as smack, to throw this big 7-foot snake. Well, you weren't listening. You're too busy, giggity giggity on your keyboard. So you just got here. Okay. I'm not going to do the whole video over again for you, Rodolfo. And the other thing about some of you are regulars to my channel, and I know you love me and care about me and all that, and it's mutual. And then others of you, you're self-serving. You don't even click the like button. I'll watch the video and it'll say, 100 people watch the video and only 2 or 3 will click the like button. Is it that hard to click the like button? I mean, really. If you visit somebody's channel regularly, I'm not going to go over what kind of snake it is. Play the video back later. It's not about Rodolfo. It's not about what Rodolfo wants, you know. Babies cry when they don't get what they want. Grown up people have to learn to live with things, you know. So live with it. Okay, that's good. That's good. I tried to do a good live feed. But back to the point, all of the world kooks have got their finger on the button. I don't understand that. All of these people are filthy rich. All of them are filthy rich, and they're still miserable, and they have to ruin the lives of other people. All of these old octogenarian men, they have to send physically fit young people off to WAR, and then the young people come back like Jimmy Jones, whatever his name is, you know, with their legs blown off, or their hand blown off, or their eye blown out, and then live the rest of their lives like that, you know. So Rodolfo, where you get off calling me a peasant? You know, you say you're filthy rich. You just sound like you filthy to me. You don't sound like you rich in anything. You don't sound like you rich in intellect. You know, pardon my saying so. But I mean, you really pushing me. So you're either a very immature person or you're some young kid that needs calling somebody a peasant isn't a put down. Are you kidding me? That's like somebody calling you boy. Back years ago, when I was young, they still had segregation. They had segregation. And a lot of that history stuff is wrong. Back when I was yeah, you're backpedaling now. You know, you're backpedaling your comment. Back when I was a kid, everybody was called boy, especially if you did a menial job like pumping gas or shining shoes or something like that. When I worked at the Dodge dealership about 10 years ago, that would make me about 60 years old. That'd make me like 60 years old back then. And this elderly black man came in, and I was polishing a car to try and sell it for a little better money. And I was polishing the car. He came up behind me. He said, "Are they open, boy?" And I looked all around, and I said, "Cool, he's talking to me." And I said, "Yes, sir." But he came up behind me. He said, "Are they open, boy?" And I didn't have any hard feelings. It was just because I was doing the work of a lot person at a car dealership. And back then, his generation, my generation, if you did that kind of job, you were called boy. If people were in a restaurant and you were serving their food, they click their finger and they say, "Boy, oh boy, we're ready to order." And it was no hard feelings. You just take their order, go back in the kitchen, spit in their food, and bring it out to them. You know, Jesse Jackson said he did that. Anger brings you to life. I'm just kidding you, but admit it, anger makes you bring you to life. That's not even a sentence. Rodolfo, that's not even plain English, my brother. So you batting like yeah, whatever. You need some AI help. You need some AI help. You need like AI chatbot helping you. So maybe I'll get Pedro to help you. Hang on a second. Hey, Pedro. Pedro, come here. What's up, Daddy? I don't know. You see what Rodolfo put? Look at what Rodolfo put. I'm just kidding you, but admit it. Anger brings you to, you know. I don't understand what the heck he's talking about. I don't either, Pedro. I figured maybe from one jackass to another, you'd understand what he's saying. I don't know, Daddy. Well, thank you, Pedro. You're a good friend. How are you doing this morning? Oh, I'm good. Oh, it's Rodolfo again. He's been on this channel before. Hee haw, hee haw, hee haw always gives you a hard time. I know, man, but it's all good. It's all good. And no, I'm not going to bust a gut. I'm not gonna bust a gut. So don't try and call a curse over me or any kind of voodoo or anything like that. So, Pedro, say goodbye to Rodolfo, the end. Goodbye, Rodolfo. Yeah, that was pretty funny, Pedro. Pedro is a pretty hip guy. All right, he's not saying anything. I embarrassed him. So, anyway, we'll keep Pedro off to the side. So, Alligator is around here somewhere, lurking around, but I don't know where he's at. And Pedro, Rodolfo says he likes you. Do you like Rodolfo? Yeah, I like Rodolfo. I like everybody, Pop Pop. You know that. Yeah, that's because you got a good heart. You got a better heart than a lot of people, Pedro. All right, well, go back over there. So, fam, all the nut jobs in the world have got their finger on the button, and you got to figure out what you're going to do someday when that siren goes off. And you got to figure out whether you're going to stay put or whether you're going to scatter before that big flash comes. And all these people figure that nuking the planet will cool it down. Rodolfo, I didn't say you. I said all of the people running the world. Are you running the world, Rodolfo? Are you doing something I don't know about? I'm talking about people like Vladimir and Volodymyr and Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping and Ding-a-ling and all of them is who I'm talking about. All the ones with their finger on the big red button. I'm going to get a big red button as an effect. I'll get a big red button. Oh, Rodolfo, you were on vacation then. So, you were on vacation. I see. So, did you learn anything from the experience? Yeah, okay. You know you're going to have to be careful because if you're on probation, there's always going to be somebody who wants to put you back there. You're going to have to be really, really careful. So, you're going to have to really kiss some probie behind. So, I got put in the tank when I was 15 or 16. They they had just started the uh, on a right turn on red. That's what it was. And so all of a sudden, all around D.C. and Maryland, these no turn on red signs started popping up everywhere. And I went down Twin Brook Parkway in Rockville, slowed down. I had a car behind me. The second I slowed down, they blew the horn. So I made a right turn, and a cop came down the other way off of 28, pulled me over, gave me a ticket. And I thought naturally the ticket would be in Rockville Court. It wasn't, it was in Bethesda. So I went to the wrong courtroom. By the time I got to Bethesda, I was late. And they had put a bench warrant out on me for a $5 or $10 ticket. The ticket wasn't much at all back then. So I took pictures of Twin Brook Parkway with these trees that they had planted all down the right side of the parkway. And the tree was in front of the no turn on red sign. So when I got to court, the judge admonished my being late. I explained that I went to the wrong courtroom. So I said, can we go ahead with this? She said, yes. I said, Your Honor, can I approach the bench? She said, yes. I put the pictures in front of her. I said, the sign was covered up. She said, you didn't do anything funny with these pictures. I said, no. I just went down Twin Brook Parkway, taking picture after picture. You can see the line of trees that the sign was covered. So, in any case, she said nolo prosequi, whatever, meaning I wasn't going to get prosecuted. So I said, thank you, Your Honor. But she was one of these men haters, I can tell you. She did not like men. So she goes, bang, $5 court costs. I said, OMG, Your Honor, I don't have $5 on me. I rushed right to the courthouse. Didn't pick up any cash. She went, bang, bailiff. And man, the bailiff came and dragged me away like I had held up a BANK. Dragged me off good, you know, back to the chicken wire room, and felt me up and all of the other good stuff, and put me in the tank. And here I am, a young kid. I was only 15 or 16. Hey, Jared. So I'm in the tank with all of these drug addicts and alcoholics and rough-looking hillbilly guys that look like a little tenderoni 15-year-old boy would do just as well as a little girl would for him. And the bailiff laughed. He said, by the time you get out, you're going to be in a pink tutu like that one guy, Richard Simmons. So he made no bones about the fact that he thought I'd get turned out in the tank. What's up, Better? He made no bones about it. So I got my one phone call. I called my sister, who I had taught how to drive a car, thank God. And she came to the courthouse carrying a baby, carrying my nephew. She was quite elderly by then. She was in her mid-40s and had just had a baby. Came to court to pay the $5 with the baby. And man, when I got out of the tank, I went up to the desk, and the bailiff and this bailiff and this plain Jane two-bagger lady were laughing, and I went like, on my way past the desk, and they were like, "Boy, don't start something. Don't start something. You just got out." All of that over $5 court costs, to hassle a 15 or 16-year-old kid. And like I said, I'd been working since I was 14. I graduated under DECA, which was where you were allowed to go to school till noon, and then you go work a job till 10:30 at night, $9 a day. Not $9 an hour, $9 a day. And people came into the gas station, and you had to run up and wipe their window off and ask them what they want. And they say, "Fill it up, boy. Fill it up, boy." And so you fill it up, and you got to put air in their tires. And then if somebody wants to be a real pee hole, they'll open up their trunk and tell you to check the spare tire. And then you check their oil and their power steering and their transmission fluid. And one day this lady had me check her power steering fluid. And I reached down into the motor to take the cap off of the pump. And she started the car up. So I'm there with my hand down at the bottom of the motor, and the belts are going and the fan's going. And I said, lady, you don't have to start the car for me to check the fluid. You're about to take my hand off." I couldn't move my hand because if I had pulled it back, the fan would have chopped my fingers off. That kind of stuff. And you couldn't call the person anything. You had to be polite. You had a uniform with a little bow tie. Gas was 19 cents a gallon. 19 cents. And you got $9 a day pay. And men were raising families on that money. And they did all kinds of crappy stuff to me. And I was raised by a couple of blue bloods. My parents were very hoity-toity. No cussing, no drinking. Now you could smoke. You could smoke and drink coffee. And my parents' dining room looked like a cocktail lounge in the morning with a half a foot of smoke around the ceiling from everybody smoking. And I always ate my breakfast with the smell of my father's spit and cigarettes being blown on me. He would pull in on the cigarette, then turn to me and blow it in my face while I'm trying to eat. And then one time he came to me, took a big drag on his cigarette, got it nice and glowing, and took his finger and lifted up my shirt to crush the cigarette out on my stomach. And I slapped the cigarette away. I said, "What the hell's the matter with you?" And he said, "Boy, don't you slap your father's. That's disrespectful, slapping your father's hand." And the cigarette fell on his precious new carpet. I said, "Well, I'm not your damn ashtray." I was really shocked that in his mind it was absolutely normal to go up to your child and lift their shirt up and crush the cigarette out on your kid's belly, because I'd had the nerve to push to the front of the family to come and look at his new sports car. Worst fight my parents ever had over this Ambassador Diplomat sports car. Most beautiful car. I've never seen a car that beautiful ever since. And the car hated me. I I got to pull the car into the driveway and wash it under penalty of DEATH. Don't scratch it, boy. And so I washed the car and I was washing the bumper. And back then, manufacture wasn't really great. And the back of the bumper cut all behind my fingers. And I bled like a stuck pig, man. Bled all over the car. So I cleaned the car up and bandaged my hand and parked the car. My father came out. Boy, what's that? I said, what are you talking about? He said, my driveway is wet. I said, Buck, I just washed your car, sir. Well, we have a problem. There's water in my driveway. Well, generally, sir, that's what happens. I went through that military crap. Generally, sir, that's what happens when you wash a car. The driveway will get wet. He said, I want you to go get a push broom. And you take the push broom and you go back and forth over the driveway until that water is evaporated off of my driveway. And I want the driveway clean and swept when you get done. So I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for like an hour until the driveway was dry. By then it was like 4 o'clock, and my parents had a real bad roach problem in their house. Roaches everywhere, because see, back then, we're talking half a century ago, when old people cooked, they took the bacon grease and they poured it into an old coffee can on the counter, and they did not put it in the refrigerator. They left that coffee can on the counter. At night, cockroaches would crawl into it and do their thing. And then my mother would turn the light on in the morning. The cockroaches would scatter. And she would reach in that can of bacon grease and dip some out and put it into an iron skillet and cook our breakfast with this bacon grease that had been on the counter all night with the cockroaches. And so after I finished washing Buck's car, it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I used to bring my father a fresh cup of coffee, and it was like a mommy dearest situation. I'd bring him this delicious cup of hot coffee, 4 in the afternoon, and as I gave it to him, I would give him a kiss on the forehead, you know? Kind of like that, what was that, that singer that used to get the crap beat out of her all the time? Ike and Tina Turner, when Ike gives her the kiss, and then she sings that song, Fool in Love. So, my parents were clean. They did not consider that. No, they were clean. They did not consider that bad hygiene back then, Rodolfo. So, you drawing the line, man. You riding that line. So, do you want to hear what happened or not? So, in any case, 4 o'clock, yeah, he hasn't hurt me. I'd have to care for him to hurt me. Rodolfo, you funny as smack, man. You need to get yourself a comedy hour or something so I can come and heckle you. In any case, Rodolfo, I made my father a delicious cup of fresh coffee, Maxwell House, and I didn't realize that a cockroach mama had crawled into the cup and laid her eggs and had this whole nest of cockroach babies. I don't hate anybody. So in any case, when I poured the hot coffee into the cup and stirred it, the cockroaches were swirling in the little tornado of coffee at the bottom of the cup. So I gave the cup of coffee to my father, and he took a big, satisfying gulp of coffee, and then he went like that, and he pulled out the biggest cockroach. He pulled out the biggest cockroach I'd ever seen in my life. And thank God, he didn't realize it was a cockroach. He probably figured it was a little bit of prunes caught in his teeth or something from breakfast. So, no, I was good to my father, even though, no, I never let the abuse twist me. No. When you're in a dysfunctional family, the dysfunction acts like a prism, light going through a prism. I had two sisters who were ultra religious, two sisters that were floozy. One sister actually hit on me when I was a boy. My one sister that I taught to drive, she was 42 and I was 17. And I taught her how to drive. And then she started taking me to bars and to art theaters. Art theaters are your really nasty theaters where people like Pee Wee Herman go and choke their chicken while they're watching a movie in the dark. That's what an arts theater is. My sister took me to Stanton Arts, and we watched this very raunchy movie about a lady and a bunch of firemen. And in any case, I'm a family channel, so I got to watch it. In any case, the whole squad of firemen had their way with this lady, and in the end of the movie, there's nothing left but a smoking pillow. So they really got to it in the movie. Yeah, anybody who messes with the devil is a fool. We went through that too. A trucker at the post office. I've never known a Randy that did not have a tough life. Every Randy I've ever known has always had a tough life. So my sister hit on me, and then two other sisters were cold as ice, and the one sister tried to stab me in the kitchen when I was 11 because my mother disrespected her. She gave my mother $20 for rent. My mother looked at it and she said, $20, huh? She took the money and she gave it to me. Well, a 10-year-old little boy with $20, I was like, wow, gold mine. And that really ticked my sister off. Now, my mother could have taken that $20 and paid off the phone bill. She could have taken that $20 and paid on the electric bill. But she disrespected my sister and gave the money to me, 10-year-old kid. And my sister hated my guts, so she got out a knife and made it perfectly clear how hurt she was at the whole thing. And I don't blame her. One Christmas, my father had been very abusive. Put him out on the stroll. I don't understand. Rodolfo, what is your native language? Because I don't understand. They put him out on the stroll. Do you mean put him out on the street? Or you mean pimp them? In any case, Two of my sisters were just cold as sharks. 11-year-old pimp. 11-year-old would be called a catamite, Rodolfo. A child who gets used when they're young is called a catamite. That's like those Muslim men of God over in Pakistan. They don't get with women because they're men of God. You know, they don't bathe with women or swim in the pool with them or dance or anything. But they'll get with a little boy, put a little boy in a dress and have the little boy dance for them and give them lap dances and then go home with one of the dirty, hairy old men and service the guy because they're Muslim men of God. I'm just telling you the way it is. They're called Bakabazi boys. And in any case, when the little boy grows up to like 19 or 20, he's considered ruined. Women won't have anything to do with him. Nobody will give him a job. You know, he's ruined. You know, and you know, they do that to this day. But yet if somebody is gay over there, they'll take the gay person, throw him off the top of a building, but they don't consider putting a little boy in a dress gay. They call that a Bakabazi boy. You know, that's terrible. And they expect to go to heaven and have 72 virgins and stuff. I'm not talking fantasies, Rodolfo. You know, you're the one who's out there. As a matter of fact, you're kind of like pulling my channel down. But anytime there's abuse, there's like this spectrum of personalities. My brother cries like a baby when he hears that song, Cats in the Cradle. But I grew up to be strong, like Jim Kirk off Star Trek. When they asked him, Jim said, well, I need my pain. It's part of who I am. I was with my father. I was with my father when he passed. And the good Lord gave me the grace to tell him that I loved him and to give him a good send-off. And when he passed, I could feel the angels come through the window and grab him and then come back through. And for 1 second, we were all together. And then they blew out the window and I was by myself. I called my family, my relatives. I won't say family. That makes no sense whatsoever what you're saying now. So I called my family and I said Buck had passed 11:38. And they said, thank you, click. No, would you like to come and stay since the house is 2 blocks from the hospital or anything like that? You know, no thank you, kiss my butt, go to hell for seeing my father off. So I opened up my Coca-Cola and opened up my bag of cheese crackers, and that was that. I was out of there. But I know I'll see my father in heaven. After he got born again, he became my best buddy and confidant and pal. Up to then, he had been my tormentor. And so for the last 3 years, I would put him in the Lincoln and take him to Bish Thompson's or O'Donnell's. And sometimes I had fun with him. I'd sit him in the back of the car, and since I had a nice suit on, I'd wear a cap like I was his chauffeur and pull up to the restaurant and open up the door to let him out. So it was fun. We'd get in there and have lunch, and he would say, how are you doing, son? Good, Dad, good. How are you? Fine, son, fine. Then he'd go off to the kitchen to go to the bathroom. I'd have to go get him and do the Joe Biden and show him where the bathroom is and how to go to the bathroom without peeing all over himself. So, Rodolfo, I'm gonna put you in timeout, man. You getting wackier and wackier. I've been patient with you, man. Do you really need me to put you in timeout? You gonna make me believe that your parents pulled all your teeth? Come on, man. You probably still 40 or 50 years old living with your parents. You sound extremely immature. Even when I was a kid, Rodolfo, I was mature. I would go into a store 8 years old, and my father was 58 back then. He was 58 when I was 8, and he would misbehave. I'd be like, Buck, come on, man. I'd be like, Buck, come on, man. I'm 8 years old, and you're 58, and I got to beg you to behave yourself. We went to a farmer's market in 1967. So 1967, I would have been just a young kid. And my father, I already said how old I am. I'm 70 years old. And so my father went to, you're not 79. If you're, God help you, if you're 79, you're awful immature. So we went to a farmer's market in Delaware. And my father went up to this young lady who was bent over. You can run 5 Millers. What are 5 Millers? Is that like a beer? You can run 5 Millers. Rodolfo, you're not doing a little tweak, are you, right at the moment? You're not doing a little something, are you? Because you just flat out not making any sense now. Anyway, let my friend speak, just go. And that was a tie-op. That was a tie-op. You mean a typo? Rodolfo, man, I gotta bail, man, because you're not funny at this point. You interact. Interact isn't exactly the word. You narcissistic, man. You everything about you. You very immature. Regardless whether you're old or young. As an 8-year-old little kid, man, I never was a child. I had to be grown up right from the get-go. So, speaking of get-go, I'm gonna go. Pops out. Bye-bye.